Everyone talks about the British wrestling boom of 2014 to 2016 like it was this massive golden era. Packed venues, huge crowds, wrestling back in the mainstream. But I'm going to be honest with you. That's not how I remember it. Because while all of that was happening, I was wrestling through it. And from where I was standing, the reality looked very different. If you're new here, I'm Josh Faulkner, stand-up comedian and professional wrestler of over 15 years. And during that so-called boom, I wasn't on the internet shows. I was out on the road, touring the country, working the family circuit wrestling week after week. So, this is my perspective from the side of British wrestling that doesn't always get talked about. Quick one before we start, if you're new and into this kind of stuff, hit like, hit subscribe, and give me a follow over on Instagram at The Wrestling Comedian and TikTok at Wrestling Comedian. Now, let's be fair. Something did happen in this period of 2014 to 2016. You had new promotions gaining attention online, British wrestling getting buzz internationally, and talents breaking out in a big way with names like Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr. and Grado. Suddenly, British wrestling felt exciting again, and that part completely deserved. Because when people look back on that time, they picture this booming industry across the whole country. But the reality is, a lot of those promotions people talk about, they were running one show a month, maybe two at most. And yes, they had great matches, great talent, but the crowds, they weren't always what people think. Online, it looked huge. In reality, a lot of those shows were a few hundred people, sometimes less. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But it wasn't this nationwide explosion people now remember. Because while all of that was happening online, I was doing something very different. I was working the touring circuit for promoters like All Star Wrestling and Premier Promotions, amongst others, in places like holiday camps, theatres, and other venues. And this wasn't just once a month. This was weekends and school holidays, including the big summer holidays, where there was 5, 6, sometimes 7 shows a week, traveling up and down the country, performing in front of real paying audiences of families, kids, and the holiday crowds. People who weren't on Twitter. People who didn't care about match ratings. They just wanted a good night out. And this is the bit that gets overlooked. That touring circuit, that was, and still is, the backbone of British professional wrestling. Not the shows going viral online, the ones happening in holiday parks and theatres and other venues across towns up and down the country. That's where wrestlers stayed active, learned their craft, and earned a living. That's what kept the industry moving week in, week out. And here's the interesting part. Even though I wasn't on those internet shows, I still crossed paths with the guys who were. They'd come onto the family shows. Occasionally, I'd wrestle some of them, and you could see the difference in worlds. Same talent, same wrestlers, just completely different environments. One that was built for online buzz, the other built for consistency and survival. So, was there a boom? Yeah, in a way, but it was loud online, visible to hardcore fans and great for exposure. But what it wasn't a full industry-wide explosion, because behind the scenes, the real work was still being done the same way it always had been, on the road, night after night. I think the truth is there were 2 versions of British wrestling at that time. The one people saw online and the one that kept everything going. And if you were only watching one of them, you didn't see the full picture. But that's just my take from someone who lived it just from a different side. So let me know in the comments, what do you remember from that era of British wrestling? Were you at any of those shows? And if you enjoy real, honest takes like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.